Hey everybody, it's Annette Green back again today. Welcome back. And I have all kinds of inspiration for you today. Obviously, Valentine's, but hey, a lot of this stuff you can use for weddings or anniversaries or Mother's Day or just friendship kind of things. So I'm going to show you tags, cards, boxes, home decor, all kinds of ideas, and I'm going to show you both feminine and masculine versions of most of those things. So let's dig in and take a quick look at the projects, and then I'm going to actually show you how I made a couple of them. Okay, right off the top, we've got this big, beautiful 5x7 Valentine card. Definitely very feminine looking. There's things you can do to change it, to make it more masculine, obviously, but this was created using a lot of Elizabeth Craft Designs dies, and there is a full tutorial on this card today on the blog, my blog, and the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog. So I'll make sure I link that below. Today currently is February the 8th, 2021, but you can go back and watch that anytime as long as I give you the right link. So anyway, there is one, and obviously a big, beautiful card for someone really, really special. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to make a special envelope for a very thick, heavy card like this. Okay, and speaking of cards, I was doing the Graphic 45 tutorial, the Club G45 tutorial designed by Ginger Ropp, my sister Scrapper. Every month they have a card set, and she designs those. And so I thought, well, I'll just make a card. And this was not a Valentine card. This was one of the first cards in the tutorial. But I had such a good time making it, then I got to thinking like, oh, these would make great Valentine cards. So I followed the same tutorial and I made Valentine cards. So this one obviously would be a little more feminine. It's made with Graphic 45's Ephemera Queen, kind of focusing on a lot of the pinks and the blues in that collection, and I used some hearts and stamps and things in my stash. Then I got to making a guy's version of that card, and here I featured more of the Elizabeth Craft Designs dies here. And I'll link to all the sets that I used and all that stuff. This great Cupid is from the Cricut Design Space. I just searched for a Cupid and paid like 99 cents and cut that out on my Cricut machine. But same basic card layout. And of course I got carried away because I loved the card layout and I just started making more cards. This is a thanks card. It could easily be changed to be a Valentine card, and it's made with a beautiful new blossom paper by Graphic 45, and so is this one. And this is more of a thinking of you style card. So that just shows you right there that the old Club G45 card kit is invaluable for making all the different kinds of cards, not just the ones they show you. All right, and incidentally, all these things, this is a great opportunity to use things in your stash. Pull from different paper collections that you have, go to your old stamp sets, your dies, whatnot, and just put them to good use. You don't need brand new things every single time. So sometimes you don't necessarily want or need a card, but you want to attach maybe a tag to a gift or a box of chocolates or whatever, what have you. So I have made from Blossom again, an ivory tag covered. This is a Graphic 45 ivory tag here. The regular size, of course they have all different sizes, so that would be fun too, to make a smaller one or a bigger one. And then a little bit more masculine style. And the great thing about making tags is using the Graphic 45 tag die. This is the regular tag and gears set. It just comes with this one big plate full of different size gears, and then the regular size tag die, which is awesome. What I like to do, now you see here, this one, the paper was cut, just one solid piece of paper was cut with that die, and it gives it that little bit of a halo inside the actual tag. It doesn't go out to the edges, it goes around the hole perfectly. It's wonderful. But sometimes what I like to do is I use two different papers to cut out the tag, and then I kind of mix and match. So what's great about that is now you can make two tags right away just from those two cuts. So this is the opposite of what we have over here with the blue and the green stripe. And you can make another tag completely, you know, compatible, or you can flip everything over or some things over. This is what I would do. So you got this pretty floral on this side if you needed more masculine style tag, and you could put that together. So that's 2 tags from just 2 simple cuts with that simple die. So I love to do that. Okay, and speaking of dies, Graphic 45 also has a wonderful die set. Folder and sentiment dies, which are great. I love that file folder, and it has all these words, which I've cut out here so I can always figure out what's spelled backwards here. But you have all these words and then in the file folder. So I'm going to show you how I do that and make my favorite style of card using the file folder. It's just a little bit different than making a regular card, right? So it's this cute little file folder, and you got your little journaling place inside, your message that you write. It's very simple. Got some die cut hearts on there. So I will show you how I make that. And then the more masculine style, again, I pulled from my stamp stash. I've had that a long time. And then inside is the same type of deal, but this just has a little more masculine feel to it. So that's awesome. And these are both also using the Blossom paper from Graphic 45. But sometimes you have like a little gift that you want to give, right? So, or little chocolates, or if you make cookies or anything baked like that, these little gift boxes are wonderful. And these are all by Lori Whitlock from her shop online. I will put that link below. And so I love to buy her little 3D boxes because they're simple, they're cute. She gives you a little picture of what they look like. I always print these out and put them in a notebook. So the name of this little one here is Valentine Treat Box Tall. And then the little squatty version, which is this little one here. So cute, right? Valentine Treat Box 2. And then this one isn't decorated in her picture, but it's called Fold Over Tall Box. And so this to me is the more masculine version. And you know what? My husband's cigars will fit perfectly in here, about 4 or 5 of them. It's a great little gift box. It's super easy. This one in particular is all just one cut from black cardstock. And it's sort of self-closing like that. You could put ribbon on top, but you know, the guys don't care for the ribbon so much, so I just kept it simple. The paper cuts are included in the SVG file from Lori, but this is an old stamp that I've had for a long time with the typewriter, and in that particular set, there's all these different phrases for all times of the year, so that was stamped too. And then these great hearts with the stitching, those are from Close to My Heart, actually. And they are called Stitched Hearts. So there's 4 different sizes there. They're wonderful. And as you'll see on all these projects, I have used them like crazy. There's one back there with a little bit of stamping in the background. This is also from Close to My Heart. I mean, I used to be a consultant, so I have a lot of that stuff. Love You is also probably from one of the Close to My Heart sets. So, you know, a lot of times when I am purchasing stamps, I seem to, because I'm not a huge stamper anymore, but it seems as though you can never have too many sentiment stamps. And this one is just loaded with a bunch of different things, all different times of the year. This is the one with the typewriter and all the different phrases, and has that old hand in there. But you can see a lot of these I have a ton of different sentiments, and you just can't go wrong. This one too, and this is the one that has the labels. These are rather old, but you know, like when you're buying new stamps, think about sentiment stamps. Even this little tiny guy, I'll be using that shortly. So those are all from Close to My Heart. And then you'll see I did use, this is an oldie but a goodie from Stampers Anonymous. I used that. So stamps are great. I've utilized them a lot here. All right, so speaking of boxes, those are all from Lori Whitlock. But then we've got these great little pizza box dies, right? So this is a lot of Elizabeth Craft designs. These particular hearts are from Lawn Fawn. So cute, right? And they're called candy hearts. So you see you have a solid there, and then you have all these other ones with the words that pop out. So then you can layer other colors underneath. So that's an awesome one to have. But the little pizza box, I'm going to show you how to put one of these together. But there's more of a feminine and a masculine. And of course, these flowers are from Elizabeth Craft Designs, as well as these daisies and the leaves. Even this mandala kind of doily in the background is from Elizabeth Crafts. And the die itself for the pizza box is from Elizabeth Crafts. And inside we have lined it with paper and a little tag that I can put in here after I write my message. This is paper from Graphic 45, Ephemera Queen. Yes, and this is too, believe it or not. So there's a lot of blue in there. And the playing card images back there. I've just simply lined that one with the blue stripe. And there's that old ticket stamp from that Stampers Anonymous die. Some clever little things you can do to see how this has sort of a dimensional, like it's, those cards are coming forward and curving a little bit. Same thing with the hearts here. They kind of come forward. I don't know if that picks up that well, but you can see all that foam tape under there. 2 layers make it kind of pop up, and then the bottom part of the heart is actually glued right down to the box. So that's kind of fun. So we got our little pizza boxes, and I'll show you, like I said, I'm going to show you how we put one of those together. And then finally, I wanted to show you some of my favorite home decor pieces that I've made, oh gosh, a long time ago. This is a wooden birdhouse from the craft store. You can see right there, just those little wooden things that you can buy. And this paper, I believe, is Mona Moore from Graphic 45 many years ago. But gosh, you guys, that new paper coming out, Elegance, I think it's called, that would be gorgeous too, with some of Graphic 45's roses. I actually made these roses using an old die where you shape them yourself, but you could use the Graphic 45 roses to decorate one of these. And then it's just a pretty thing you can put out if you decorate seasonally like I do, and like some people do. And then I think this is my all-time favorite. So this was a Valentine mailbox that I created. This is also a Lori Whitlock file, and I'm going to put the link below. I do a tutorial video a handful of years ago on how I made this. And okay, so back to this card. Like I said, there is a full tutorial on how this is made. I am going to do eventually a video on all different ways and methods on making these flowers from Elizabeth Craft Designs. Things that you can do to color them and shape them. Here's another one back here that I did back in the fall on a pizza box. They have new flower dies, Elizabeth Crafts does, and they are awesome. So I can't wait to share that video with you. But back to this card, it's thick. And a lot of people say, how do you mail that? Well, I have to say, even though I'm going to show you how to make an envelope, I still wouldn't mail that in the envelope. I am going to make the envelope for it to be in, and then I'm going to put it into a padded envelope. So this kind of card, again, somebody special is going to get it, and I'm going to have to pay a little bit of extra shipping, but it's always worth it. All right, so we are going to make an envelope, and I have cut a 12 by 12 piece of paper down to 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. So one big square. And then we are going to use our envelope punch board, and I'm going to line up this left corner at the 4-inch mark. Okay, I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to do the score. There's that track in there. You can feel it. Okay, and normally we would pick this up and rotate it 1/4 of a turn. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to just slide over to 4 1/4 over here. And then I'm going to punch again and score again. So we've basically made a 1/4 inch space of a double score line here. All right, so again, instead of making a quarter turn, we're gonna go 180, and we're gonna do that same thing again. Line up to 4 inches, punch and score, 4 1/4, punch and score. Okay, and then this time, this is what we've got, okay? We've got this weird double bite out of the ends here. So this time we are gonna take it from here and do a quarter turn and just line up each time. We're gonna line up that pointer with that score line. We're gonna punch and score. And then we're gonna scooch it so the pointer lines up to that second score line. And we're gonna punch and score. I did not discover this on my own. I have to be honest. I found somebody on YouTube that already did all that thinking for me. All right, so you saw I rotated all the way around to the one side left that has nothing. And I am gonna line up again that first score line. Punch and score. Got to get rid of some of that. It's giving me trouble. Okay, and then slide it again to the next score line. Punch and score. All right, and then I folded in on all my lines. So now you have this 1/4 inch deep area all the way around. And you can't just stop there. You have to do a little bit of trimming. So before I do any trimming, I stick this into, you know, the top of your punch board to do the rounded top of my envelope. And if I were to not trim anything at this point and I try to put these corners together, you're going to get this weird little extra stuff here. And we don't want that. So what I'm going to do is just go in here. Can you see that? And I'm going to just kind of round that around. Get rid of that little pointy thing. And I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm not cutting way deep down in there. I'm just kind of rounding it out just to get rid of that point. Okay, and then one more step that I like to take. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I always do this. Because if you fold up your envelope now, it's got this big, tall point in here, and that's not really how envelopes look. So I kind of fold the top or the sides in, and then I put not the top flap, but the flap that's coming up. I put that back into my trimmer. I square this up, and I slide that point to the 1 inch, and I take off a whole inch. That way, hopefully this works out. Yeah, so when you go to fold it up, then it looks more like an envelope looks like that. And then the top has the rounded thing. So all I have to do now is glue that together, which I won't do on camera, but I will show you that this fits in here beautifully. It's nice and thick, and then you can adhere all your flaps close, and it's wonderful. But I will still put it into a padded envelope because I'd be fearful that it would get a little crushed if it went in the mail just that way. Okay, now we are going to make some of those file folder cards that I showed you. I did a little Facebook Live on the Graphic 45 page. Gosh, it feels like it was probably a year ago now. So it showed you a few different ways to do it, but this is the basic way, and I'm going to use the file folder die, like I said, from Graphic 45. And all I do is I decide on the base of my card, and I'll tell you what size that's going to be, and a couple of doodads. But I make my decision what my main paper is going to be. Okay, and if your paper has a direction, you have to cut these separately. So rather than laying this die on this paper and cutting, you know, the whole thing across like that, instead I know that the front of my card is going to be this piece. Okay, and in some cases it doesn't matter, like this pattern here. But if it's a floral pattern and the flowers are going upward and, you know, you can see leaf stems and whatnot, this one probably could have gone either way, but certain papers you definitely have to pay attention to. So in this case, I cut this side first, And then I flipped it around to cut this side because the two of them are going to be upright this way on my cardstock. Okay, so that's just something you have to kind of remember. And then you're done with this die because you have to cut your card base a little bit larger if you want to have that, you know, 1/8 of an inch all the way around, which I like. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so we'll put the die aside. We're going to go ahead and cut a card base that is compatible in color. This is, it needs to be about 9.5. It can be a little shorter, but just so you don't struggle, I would cut it 9.5 wide and 5 3/4 tall. Score it down the middle. So if it was 9.5, this needs to be, what did I say, 9.5? Yes, 9.5. So 4 3/4, right? Right, okay. So you score it down, you got it in half, and I am right away going to adhere this one right there so that I have equal spacing showing all the way around. And I'm just going to use good old art glitter glue here. See how pretty that paper is on the other side too? Once I got going with this blossom, whoa, I couldn't stop. I was making all kinds of stuff. It's so beautiful. All right. So I got the fold. Make sure on the left side, I'm going to get this down with equal spacing, as straight as I can manage. Okay. And then I'm going to open it out to this one. Do the same thing on the inside. And then when I go to glue this in, same thing. I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch from that score in the center and get that in there. Alrighty, I've got my grid ruler here, which shows 1/8 and 1/4. I also have this one. Actually, this one doesn't show 1/8, so I'm going to switch back to this one I've been using. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, see all the little 1/8? It's kind of helpful to have. All right, so I'm going to open this out. And this particular ruler has a metal edge to it, so I can use my very sharp craft knife. And I'm just lining up 1/8 of an inch and gently. I like to cut at least 2, and if 2 did it, great, okay. And then you've got this area in here, so I'm going to line up that inside edge of my paper with the 1/8 of an inch again. I'm going to start about 1/8 of an inch away from where it starts to curve. Do a couple of light cuts. It's so much better to do a couple of light cuts than a really hard press, because that's when sometimes it goes off kilter, or you bend your knife a little bit as you're going and you could snap the tip off your knife. So you can see I'm just using my scissors now to finish out that cut. I'm just kind of following the edge of the paper. Give it a little roundness there. And I can do the same over here. I just happen to have a really nice 3-way corner rounder, and I'm just going to do those with that using the small of the small, medium, and large. I'm going to use the smallest one to repunch those corners. So that looks really nice. And now we have to do this one out here. Same way. A little bit more cutting involved with this one, but it's okay. So again, I'm going to start up here. I got my ruler lined up at the 1/8 of an inch. Make sure I got all the way through, okay? Now, if you're really great with your knife, like going around curves and stuff, go for it with the knife, the whole thing. But I'm just going to use the scissors again and follow the hump about 1/8 of an inch away. You can do it quickly a little further away the first time and then go in and tweak it. phone call there. You could go back in and tweak it if you wanted to. I'm happy with that. I don't have to get every little bump and detail. And then once again, I'm going to use my punch and around those two corners. And then there it is. Isn't that cute? So simple. And so I have gone ahead and I've cut out a couple of cut aparts from this beautiful paper collection. And I'm not going to assemble and build it all here, but I'll just show you that I cut out like a couple of postage stamps here. And I will put those on there. I will probably pop this up with some foam tape, and I'll put a little ribbon up there. You could stamp Happy Valentine's Day. This one in particular, I just cut from the paper collection. One of the border strips says thinking of you. So I will probably put that down there and pop this up and maybe fan these little stamps out and have them coming around there, something like that. The last thing that I do is put something on the inside. You have to be a little mindful because you don't want to have something coming out past it and interrupting this nice design you have here. So I always kind of measure. This needs to be 2 7/8, and I think the card, this is an ephemera card, and normally they're 3 by 4, so I had to trim a little bit off. But this one in particular is actually one of the bigger guys, the 4 by 6s. I just like this one in particular because of the color and all the lines, so I could write a lot of stuff. So I just cut it. It was this one. I just cut it 2 3/8 by the 4. And I re-rounded those corners after I cut them apart because otherwise, you see, it would be very squared off. And when I put it in, I'm going to scooch it a little closer to this edge so it doesn't show from the front. All right, so there's that one. So now let's make a pizza box. Like I said earlier, it is called the pizza box. That is the die from Elizabeth Crafts, and I will show you all the pieces and parts to this die that are really fun to kind of play with. This is the actual main box die, and I've already cut out this big piece of pink cardstock, but you also have some sort of embellishment pieces here. This one is sort of a layered flower design. You have a scalloped square, a stitched square, and several circles, scalloped and stitched. So they're really fun to kind of play around with. I went ahead and I cut out with the scalloped square die, just white cardstock. I used the stitch square die to cut out this pretty paper, again from Blossom, and I'm going to put that right there. And then also from Blossom, the other side of that paper, I'm going to use this to line the inside of the box. This is not part of the die. I just decided to do this to give it a little more strength. It's 3 7/8 inch square. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on the inside before I do anything else. One thing I did notice, the very first time I made this pizza box, I built it so this little tab was at the top because to me that kind of made sense. Okay, and this is how the box would open. But as I looked at the packaging and I looked at everybody else's samples from the design team, everybody has built it with a little tab at the bottom. So I think it's a gripping point. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's at the bottom, but so I went ahead and made these that way, thinking that's how it's supposed to be. So you can do it either way. I'm just saying. So I am going to, knowing that that little thumb pull is at the bottom of the box, I'm going to start there. See it there? That little thing. And I'm going to put my paper on the inside. There is a direction, so you want to make sure you get that right. I'm just going to glue that in there, and you don't need to watch me glue, so I'll just do that and I'll be right back. I would recommend when you go to do this part that you do one corner at a time, just that long tab and then the double fold over, just to make sure that gets in there nice and square. So I have done it, and I have folded that double fold over, and now I have my nice lid to my box. It's going to close right outside all the edges, and I'm ready to decorate the outside of it. One thing that I do like to do, and it's not in the die, is I cut these decorative strips for the sides of the box. I don't know if you noticed that little detail, but I did do paper all the way around the outside. That gives the box just a little bit more stability and just makes it look that much nicer. So that's just an added little step that you can take, and these measure 3/8 of an inch, you know, tall by 4 inches long. And I want to make sure that's right before I glue it. Yep, that's going to fit there with a little bit of the pink showing all the way around. Get those on there real quick. I'm putting on my last strip on the back here. Honestly, I think I'll turn it around this way. I got a little ahead of myself. You could most certainly put these little decorative strips on before you assemble the box, but it's easy enough to reach in here and press down. Okay, so we have this all the way around, which looks nice. In this particular spot where there's this little notch circle, if that bothers you, that a little bit of that paper is overlapping, see, you'd have to do that beforehand before you assemble the box. So I have done that in the past. I've used this little, I think it's about a 3/8 inch circle. Didn't have to do it on that one, but I did do it on this one, and I got in there and I repunched after. But again, before you assemble the box, if you're gonna do that. It's not that bad, this overlap, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. I'm gonna decorate the top. This will look pretty right on top like that, flat. I tend to wanna pop it up with a little bit of foam tape, so I think I'll do that real quick. So it just looks that much better when you pop it up a little bit. It gives a little bit more interest and dimension. All right, so to finish this off, I wanted to, I mean, you could do all kinds of things. You could stamp something else, which I did stamp a little heart here, another one of those Lawn Fawn dies to cut the heart, and then that little teeny stamp set. So you can pick, you know, there's some that say just for you, for my friend, you're the best, whatever. So this may or may not be a Valentine. And then I die cut some flowers. I was looking at the flowers in the paper, and they were pink and they were 5 petals. So I used the Florals 3 set from Elizabeth Crafts, and I used the smallest little flower. Instead of these leaves though, which work well here, I went to the Florals 5, and I liked this leaf stem here because I can cut those apart and kind of move them around as needed. But I basically cut them out of the white soft finish cardstock from Elizabeth Crafts, and I used the thinner of the two. Just know that on their website they have 2 different thicknesses, and if you're going to do leaves and flowers, I use the thinner because you can shape them more with the tools, and they're a little more pliable than the stiffer cardstock. So I added some glitter, of course, and I colored these, and again, I'm going to make a video on how to do all those kind of things. But I'm going to arrange this on the lid, something like that. I might cut some of the leaves apart and tuck some over here. Let me just play with it and I'll show you how it looks finished. All right, so far I have got 2 stems over here, and I cut the bottom off of both of those. So I could get those in there, and then the 2 little leaves left over I put up in there. And I've got this one left, and I'm just trying to decide where I want to put that. So I'm going to cut those off. And maybe I will have them down here somewhere. I don't know. I kind of like it how it is, so I don't know if I'll use these or not, but you can always fill in. Oh, that looks kind of nice. All right, so I'm going to glue those in there. All right, my little box is done. I'm very happy with that. Very cute. And just so I didn't leave you hanging, this is how this finished out. I just kind of glued a little twine bow to the top of that. I popped up that little tag and got my ephemera card inside, so that card is done. Those could be Valentines. I finished up this little tag for now. I don't know what else I'm going to do with it yet, so I'm just going to leave it like that. That was with those other leftover pieces that we talked about. But I have all these doodads that I had cut out and stamped and maybe had extras of. So I'm going to hang on to those, and they can always go on here or on some other project, but I will keep those into a little baggie and definitely put them to good use. In fact, a great place to use these would be on the envelope, on the outside of the envelope, like where you close it. You can put something like that on there, or something that matches this one. You could always put this heart on the outside of the envelope. Just, use it up. Little extra things like that. All right, that is it for me. Just a little review of the projects again. I did not mention that some great quick embellishment always in Graphic 45 collections is to purchase the die cut assortment. So I have used them heavily on this tag. All these hearts, the swoosh swirly things here, this label, the butterfly, all of that is in the die cut assortment. So that's quick, easy embellishment. So utilize those for sure. A lot here as well. This is a die cut back here, but the oval is from the die cut assortments. This is actually from, I believe, a Stampin' Up die I just purchased. But these hearts and this flourish and that heart, even this label, I covered it with a little bit of ivory cardstock and stamped Happy Valentine's Day. It said something else back there, but you can do that. So we have beautiful tags we can make. We have file folder cards that we can make, including my new one that I just made. We have pizza boxes that are so much fun. Male, female, and then an extra one. We have cute little Lori Whitlock boxes of different styles and sizes. Even this teeny little guy, so cute. And then we have our step cards. They are actually called, this is from Volume 1, the Nature Notebook. They're Volume 1, 2021. They are called Step Card with Envelope Set. So we have our little step cards here, just like you saw earlier. I'll give you another look. Cute Elizabeth Craft Designs dies. And more of the Graphic 45. This is actually the Graphic 45 die, but Fussy Cuts, this is a Graphic 45 die. Step card there, and another one with the die cut assortments for very quick and beautiful cards. So I thank you very much for joining me, and don't forget you can make home decor pieces as well. Thanks for stopping in. I hope you like all this Valentine inspiration, and I hope you give something a try and make something for your sweetie. Thanks again, guys. Take care.